there everyone, today I'll be doing a solo master Nightfall run with Warlock and with no anti-barrier mod. For my subclass I'll be using the Shadebinder Stasis Warlock. Here are the mods I'll be using in this video. For my kinetic I'll be using Witherhoard. Next I'll be using Tyranny of Heaven, Solar Bow. For my heavy I'll be using Threaded Needle with Major Spec. For my helmet I'll be using double linear fusion rifle ammo finder, fire and ice, and fire recovery. Next I'll be using 10 discipline, grenade, kickstart, overload bow, and shield break charge. Chestplate I'll be using double arc damage resistance, font of wisdom, and 10 of recovery. Next I'll be using better already, protective light, linear fusion scavenger, and 10 recovery. Next I'll be using double bomber, blast radius, and 10 disciplined. For this week I decided to go for the Stasis Warlock with the turret build. Now for this week it's going to be very different. There's going to be hot knife and togetherness where you are drifting apart. You'll be required, especially for Hunter and Titan, to have an exotic to regain your health. So for example, for Titan, the Alpha Crest for the exotic chest, and for the Hunter is the Warm Husk. And for the Warlock, it can be the Stag, or you can just put 100 recovery to get Healing Drift when you're low on health. When it's togetherness, runs are always going to be slow. So you guys know that there are arc pulses in this area, so it's always best to collect them. There are vandals across, but you can use the power of the stasis turret to freeze them. And it can detect any ads that you have not taken down yet. Now I am using my sparrow to go across and collect these arc pulses, so that's gonna be fun. Now basically for this video I will be spamming turret since the stasis turret's gonna be nerfed soon, so I might as well enjoy it and have fun with using the Stasis Warlock. And you guys know the dregs with the vehicle, they can melt you. Even in Master, they can melt you pretty badly. Of course, in Grandmaster version, they can 1 or 2 shot you. Now it is very critical to have double arc resistance on the chest plate. That way you can be more tanky dealing with any arc attack, especially at the boss fight. Once all the arc pulses are captured, you can stand here and just take your time to clear down the ads, the shanks. So you notice that the shanks have solar shields. So like I said, Master and Grandmaster is going to be very different. Of course for Grandmaster it's always chaff, 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 and chaff. There's really no mods like togetherness, attrition, famine, you know, etc, etc. And there is no hot knife, which Master sometimes has the hot knife. And Solar and Shanks have the solar shields, and you guys are familiar with that for the Devil's Lair. Sometimes the Shanks have solar shields as well for the Master version. Now people will say using Taiku is the best for this Nightfall, and I will say no. Now, for Master, it's okay. Grandmaster, no. So if thinking Hot Knife or for Grandmaster using Taiku would be a good idea, then you're going to be disappointed because Lemonarch just wins it all dealing with the Overload champions for this Nightfall. So I don't recommend to use Taiku, especially for a fire team, especially for Grandmaster. Because Fallen champions will regain their health and it's not going to be fun. Now for Taiku for Master, it's okay, but Lemonarch just wins and it's probably better than Taiku in my opinion. Now once we do collect all the arc pulses, you can actually spam the stasis turret to deal with the shanks and the fallen ads and the vandals. Now the champion likes to stand around this area and you can spam the linear fusion to do DPS or pop a Witherhoard as well to do DPS. Now I am not using particle deconstruction, but it is optional if you want to use it. For me, mainly, I want to get as much turret stasis as I can because I need it for the boss fight mainly, and the boss moves around, so using particle deconstruction for the boss isn't so much as great, especially with console aim assist, then it can be a problem. Now I am spamming my super and trying to clear down as much ads as I can. Like I said, for this Nightfall, a lot of ads shoot arc, so double arc resistance is highly required, especially for GM and for Master. When you do clear down all the ads, then you can go to the next section. So now there are vandals, which the stasis turret or your minion can do all the dirty work and freeze as much enemies as you can. Now you can see here, even just using a bow with the turret freezing the overload, it's okay, like I said, but for GM this method wouldn't work at all. So now over here, I was waiting for the turret to disappear so I can take down this Overload champion. This Overload champion does have a mind of his own, but I don't trust any of them. So that's the first rule of Exodus Crash: never trust Overload champions in this Nightfall. I mean, if you thought the Scorn Overload champions are annoying, Fallen Overload champions are annoying as well, where you cannot trust them at all. Especially on close range, they can melt you with the solar attack. Now there are little mines here and there, laser mines, which you can take down very easily. I went back to just get some heavy, since I do need it, especially for dealing with the champions. Now like I said, I want to use Witherhoard instead of using the auto rifle because, let's be honest everyone, auto rifle is just awful in this season. And trying to use the auto rifle long range on barrier champions is a nightmare, especially on GM. They're very tanky, and with aim assist makes it much worse. So for Master version, I decided to just not use the auto rifle and then just use Witherhoard. Now I was going to use a different exotic, but because of togetherness, I just decided to go for Witherhoard for this week. Now if it wasn't Witherhoard, then I would use a different one because I had another idea what I wanted to do with the Warlock. But because, like I said, of togetherness, and I hate togetherness, so I decided to go for the Stag exotic. Now this area is pretty decent, so there is an Overload champion, well, two of them, and they don't really push towards you. Now sometimes there are bugs where they do teleport and clip through the stairs and can one-shot you. Well, not one-shot you in Master, They do in GM, but they can teleport around. And I would say 3-shot you or 2-shot you if you are really, really close. Now it's always best to clear down all the ads, then you can pop a healing rift and then do DPS on the Overload champion. Now there are invisible fallens where they do like to play the tag and back to orbit, or for master version they like to tag and start all over again. Like I said, when they're staggered, you can just use a linear fusion and then just DPS at the overload, at the second overload champion. Now in this part I was being a little reckless, so when I did saw my health being low, I did pull back a bit and then just be super careful. Because this togetherness, and you can see my health is not regaining. And I was on red, and then I pop a healing rift. Like I said, for togetherness, it's always best to have an exotic to heal you, especially for Hunter and Titan. Warlock, not so much, but for the boss fight method, I do highly recommend to use the Stag. And now be defending the ghosts. Now around 10% and it goes 20% here and there. There will be waves of ads to spawn, especially overload champions. Now I just want to use my super since I already had it, and might as well just spam it as much as I can and clear as much ads as I can as well. Because there is a lot of shanks. And another thing I noticed is the explosive or the overcharged shanks don't have solar shields. It doesn't look like they do have it, or maybe my TV is just, or maybe it's just really hard for me to see from my TV. Since the overcharged shanks don't have solar shields, in the boss fight there won't be so much of any solar shields, which is really good. Now there are 2 overload champions, and for this part they didn't seem to push towards me, which I was surprised. They usually do on GM, but for some reason in this video they didn't. So I was a bit shocked over here, because usually they are standing near the end of the stairs, but they're not. They're just backing away. So I had to jump and bow. And like I said, I don't trust them, so I definitely just want to DPS long distance, and I don't want to mess around with them too much. Now if I was using sword, of course I would go all out and do as much DPS as I can, but I decided to just use linear. Since the weapon I'm using has multiple weapons, so it can do massive damage towards champions, even without the particle deconstruction. Once I do clear down all the ads, then I'm going to be defending the ghosts and claiming this platform. And hopefully we can defend the ghost until 100%. Now around 40%, I think, okay, around 40% ads do spawn. So I do notice right now, overcharged shanks don't have solar shields, so definitely that's a good news, especially at the boss fight. Now 2 barrier champions will spawn. I decided to pull back. I thought there was going to be an overload champion, so my bad. You know, it's been a long time since I've done a Exodus crash run, and there wasn't, so I was waiting like silly, like, okay, is there an overload champion? Okay, maybe I was just being overcautious here. So what happens is 2 barrier champions spawn, and when you do defeat one, of the barrier champions, then an overload champion spawns. So that's the part where I got confused a bit. So like I said, it's been a long time, so bear with me with this. You know, it's been a long time since I done the Exodus crash. So since we don't have any anti-barrier, I'll be using the power of the stasis turret. To do DPS at the anti-barrier champions, you must throw the turret close to the barrier servitor. Now, the downside about these babies, well, not baby, excuse me. The downside of the servitors is sometimes they teleport away from the turret, which can be pretty bad. Sometimes they do it, and it's a bit RNG of where the barrier servitor is going to teleport. But once you trap the turret, once you trap the champion with a turret, then you can just spam heavy and Witherhoard and take him down without any anti-barrier at all. Another method you can use is super. If the turret disappears and the boss is on low on health, then you can use your super to do the final DPS to take him down. So you can see here that my turret is a little bit too far away from the servitor and it's teleporting away, which is not looking good for me. The right side of the servitor was trying to shoot me, but I was behind this wall. So you can see here I was trying to do DPS and it was kind of being a little awkward, and then finally I trapped the barrier servitor just in time. So like I said, when taking down one of the barrier champions, then the overload champion will appear, and I thought it would be a nice time to use my super to take down the second barrier and then pull back. Always pull back, especially dealing with the overload champions. I don't trust them. I don't trust them a GM, I don't trust them a master. Especially with togetherness, they can melt you if you are just standing still, and it could be a nightmare. So now this is when things can be a little tricky, when overload champion will push towards you, and I was just waiting for it to walk towards me. So there's going to be around 3 overload champions, and I was just spamming Witherhoard just to lure them near the stairs. Now the turret was freezing them a bit, which it was okay. You know, I wasn't really too bothered by it, to be honest. But mainly you want to take down the overload champions as fast as you can, because they all can gain up on you. And then remember when I said about console aim assist? Yeah, it can be a nightmare when trying to aim, and sometimes they teleport. So you saw there that the 3rd overload champion teleported in front of the one I was trying to DPS. So always be aware of the overload champions and just focus on one as much as you can. Now for PC, with the aim assist doesn't really matter, but for console it can when champions are hugging each other or, you know, together, and when you're trying to use the bow, sometimes the bow moves by itself, which you don't want it to happen. And the best example I can think of is when trying to shoot a Warmind cell. Your weapon starts to move by itself and you're trying to shoot the Warmind cell, but console aim assist is like, nah Blitz. That's the only example I can think of. And also the 2 barrier champions with proving grounds with auto rifle is a nightmare. Now once we do defeat all the, well, most of the overload champions, now you can claim and defend the ghosts, and there'll be more ads to spawn, and there's going to be another overload champion. Because I saw the overload champion, I decided to pull back and then just wait for it to walk towards the stairs so I can take him down very, very quickly. So the turret can freeze, they fallen. So when they are frozen, you can use Witherhoard to do DPS. And if the Overload champion is at the right spot, you can also do DPS at this specific spot. Now I was just trying to clear ads first and then do DPS. So like I said, everyone's playstyle is different. You know, you can take down the Overload champion and then clear down ads later, or clear all of them down, then take down the Overload champion. Everyone's different, you know. Everyone's playstyle is different compared to mine. I always try to take down all the ads because they always use the tracking arc when I'm trying to do DPS at the boss. It's not fun, to be honest. I don't like it, and that's why I just clear them all down, then deal the Overload champion last. So I did saw some element wells, so I collect them so my intellect can go up. Now I'll be claiming the platform and capturing and defending the ghosts. So there's gonna be a couple of waves of ads and the shank. Now these shanks are always solar. They always have a solar shield even without hot knife. Now there will be overcharged shanks, which they do walk towards you or float towards you. I did back away because I think I did sense an Overload champion, and like I said, when there are Overload champions I always back away, and I was just scouting, seeing if I did see one or not. There was no Overload champion, so I decided to just push and take down the shank. I thought I heard something, that's why I backed away. Then I saw another solar shank, so I throw a turret to break down the shield, and then just spam Witherhoard and the linear fusion rifle. So that's the beauty of using Witherhoard. You can use Witherhoard and make traps from far distance, and then do DPS, especially when they're hiding. They can be taken down very easily. So like I said, I did sense a Overload champion and I was right. So that's why I backed away and then just scout and then just slowly clear down the ads and just hear my surroundings. So when I do take down the Overload champion, I collect the wells to regain the intellect for a couple of seconds. And then finally we can go to the next section. For this area, I will say this is a time when you have to collect the arc pulses, or the blueberries can collect the arc pulses for you. Now unfortunately I didn't have good luck with the blueberries. I think they were extremely lazy. They didn't really want to collect any arc pulses for me. I see how it is. So for Grandmaster they help me, but for Master they don't. That's just so mean. But it's okay. Anyway, there weren't any fallen vehicles around, so it was safe to just collect the arc pulses by myself, and once I do, I can go to the next section. Now you can actually sparrow your way, and you can deal with the walker from far distance. So now I am just going up on this platform, and like I said, everyone's play style is different. I prefer to go over here. Now usually there are a couple of Vex around this area, but for some reason in this video I didn't see them spawn here. But I did see the snipers spawn from the right side. Sometimes they don't appear, so it's a bit RNG in this part, if I have to be really honest. So sometimes there are snipers here, and then at times there aren't. So I was just double checking. You know, you never know. It could teleport, or it could just appear magically. Silly things like that can happen. Now I can use Witherhoard from far distance, and I was trying to do a body shot and it wasn't working out until the end, but then the boss was already almost dead. It was pretty hilarious. So it does take a while when using Witherhoard, and once you do nail the body shot, then you can do massive DPS to take down the walker. So now I'm just gonna wait until Witherhoard does the DPS, and then we can go to the boss fight, or the pre-boss fight, or the dark room. I mean, there are so many names, to be honest. I'm not really sure what I can call it, so I'll just call it the pre-boss room, where it's all dark. Now this is gonna be the last Overload champion, and this is the perfect time to use your super. So because I had my super, I decided to just use it right away and clear as much ads as I can. I did ignore the Overload champion. Mainly I just want to clear all these fallen ads, since they do walk around and try to shoot arc, and it can be a bit annoying. Especially when trying to do DPS at the boss, they can throw arc grenades like now, as you can see here. They spam quite a lot. Even in Master, they can spam a lot of grenades, and it can be not fun. I was just waiting for the boss to move so I can actually do some DPS and take him down as much as I can. Now you can spam the linear fusion and then just do DPS. And hopefully he won't move. Now for GM, he does move a lot, I'll be honest with that, but Master, not so much. Which is why Lemon Arc is really amazing on GMs dealing with the Overload champions. Now I have not tried Lemon Arc on the Scorn champion. I don't know if they move or they don't. So I will test it out with a fire team and see if they do move or not, because I haven't fully tested out and I didn't have a chance to try it. Now when going up these platforms, there will be a lot of snipers and ads hopping around. Mainly you want to take down the elite snipers, and there are around 2 of them in this pre-room. There are shortcuts as well in this room, but I decided not to go to the shortcut, just to show that you can clear down all the ads if you want to, or you can skip them. But like I said, it's togetherness, so you have to be aware that you won't be able to regain your health unless you have a healing drift, or you have to wait like a minute of your life for your health to regain, and it goes really slow, and it's not fun, to be honest. It's not a fun experience, and this is one of the reasons why I don't like togetherness. Now here's the last Vandal, and like I said, they are very strong, but because we have double arc resistance, we are a bit tanky towards them. Now we're actually gonna go deal with the boss fight. Now let's talk about the boss fight. There are many ways to deal with the boss. You can go to the cheese spot at the roof, or you can go to the cheese spot behind the electric platform. And there is also an under platform bridge where you can go, especially for master. I have tried on GM and it's pretty tough. I would rather go to the roof or to the electric platform for Warlock. But I decided to just go behind the method of the boxes. And right now I'm just testing it. You know, it's been a long time since I've done this method. And I despise it. Especially for togetherness, things can be a little bit... can be complicated. Now, the boss does like to melee you. Either it's going to be the right or left. So I decided to just spam Witherhoard, try to body shot him, and just clear as much ads as I can. Now, fallen ads will try to melee you, so you can also throw another turret if you want to. That way, no fallen ads can sneak up from behind, and you'll also notice when the turret does freeze the enemies. If the boss is at the right side, then move from the opposite. Now, like I said, the boss is RNG. He likes to move from the left side, the right side, and there are a lot of fallens that can try to take you down when spamming the Arc Seeker towards you. Now, I did enough DPS for the boss to disappear. During this time, we're gonna be at the second wave. Now, the second wave can be a bit complicated, especially dealing with the barrier champions. Not only that, but we don't have any anti-barrier. Only the stasis turret to freeze them and super. So first things first, it's always best to collect as much ammo as you can, especially Witherhoard. And then once you collect all the ammo, then you can shoot the last remaining ad. And then the second wave of ads will start. Now, like I said, when dealing with the servitors, the barrier servitors, you must throw your stasis turret near them, not far distance, and you have to take him down as quickly as possible. Not only that, but you have to be aware of your surroundings, especially where the boss is at, because sometimes he will be from far distance like this, or he'll just go and try to melee you from the right or left side. There are also explosive shanks that can electrify the platform, which you cannot do your double jump. So always be aware of that, and it's best to take down as much as ads as you can and take down the barrier champion where it can immune the boss, and it can immune the explosive shanks where they can use this electric attack to slowly DPS you, and you cannot double jump when they do try to electrify you. So you can see it can be a bit annoying, especially dealing with the barrier champions. So I decided to spam another turret just to take down this servitor because it was getting a little out of hand, and I did not want the boss to melee me from the right or the left side. Now I was just spamming Witherhoard, and I just want to make sure everything is well. Now usually it's 3 barrier champions, especially if you don't do DPS as of now. There will be an extra barrier champion that will spawn. So I was trying to do DPS at the boss, right? So he can teleport, so I don't have to deal with the extra champion. And I'm trying to remember if another champion did appear. And it's a bit annoying, especially at this part where you want to take down the boss, but then barrier champions get in the way. So finally, the boss disappeared, And I was able to skip one barrier champion because I remember on my GM where I was taking down the barrier champions first and then I got an extra barrier champion. Depending how much DPS you do at the boss, you will deal with 2 barrier champions or 3. And I skipped 1 champion and still got platinum rank. Now we're going to be going for the last wave of ads. And this is a time where if the boss is close to you, then it's best to take him down, do DPS as much as you can. Now you can see here that the boss just loves to teleport. And that's one of the reasons why on the electric area is best for the Warlock than here. Because on Grandmaster, the boss can 2-shot you. And then with all these electric and all this stuff hitting you at the same time, you can pretty much be melted just like that. Fast, less than a second. And then you start all over again and back to orbit. So for this method, I think it's okay for Master, but for GM, I don't think so at all. Because it's just a lot of things going on. And like I said, this is togetherness, guys. So I'm spamming a lot of healing drift to survive and to take down the boss. And if I didn't have a healing drift, then I would have been melted in a second. Anyway, we defeated the boss and we got platinum. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.